Hello, my name is Jerry Lejos, and in this video we will show you how to change the old OID electronics with a new electronic assembly. For this process you will need the following tools: 2 Phillips screwdrivers size 1 and 0, 1 small flat screwdriver, 2 nut drivers sizes a 1/4 inch and 3/16, 1 needle nose pliers, and 1 small wrench size 5/16. You will also need Loctite 242. You will receive the new OID Electronics pre-assembled. It includes the boards, the photodiode, the LED, 4 screws, and a grounding cable. First, you will need to remove the old electronics from the OID. You start by removing the wiring assemblies that are in front of the board. Just pull back and they should come out easily. The next step is to remove the 4 screws that hold the top board. You will do that using your size 1 Phillips screwdriver. Below the middle board or processor board, you will have a connection of the PMT. To remove that connection, you will need your 5/16 wrench. Just loosen it and then you should be able to use your fingers to remove it. The next step is to remove the photodiode assembly. To do that, you will need your Phillips size 0, and there is 2 holes there that have screws that hold that whole assembly. You put your screw to those holes and turn. Once you feel that they're completely loose, you should be able to move your assembly. The next step is to disconnect the fiber optic cable from the PMT assembly. To do that, you loosen the SMA connectors. Sometimes they're going to be tight, so you will need to use your needle nose pliers to loosen them up. Once they're loosened, you can use your fingers to remove them, to completely loosen them up. And the whole PMT assembly should come out. The last step will be to remove the mounting plate. The mounting plate is most of the time is held in by 4 screws. There is other versions that only have 2 of them. For that you will need your size 1 Phillips screwdriver. Just pull out. Just being careful not to damage your fibers. The next step after removing the old electronics will be to do a minor disassembly of the new electronics. First remove the 4 screws from the top board. You can do that by using a size 0 Phillips screwdriver. Don't lose your screws, you will need them later. Just pull straight up to remove the top board. The next step will be to disconnect the wiring assembly from the processor board or middle board. And remove the 4 stand-ups that are holding that board. You can do that by using a 3/16 nut driver. The processor board is connected to the bottom using a connector, so you just have to pull it straight back up to remove it. And that should be all the disassembly you have to do before putting the electronics inside the box. Now you're ready to install the new electronics on the enclosure. Start by pulling the fibers straight up so you can put your plate inside with the photodiode. Be careful not to bend the fibers too much, otherwise they can break. You will see that you have a longer and a shorter fiber. The longer fiber goes to your photodiode assembly and the shorter goes to your LED assembly. To access your LED assembly, you will need to remove the wiring assembly. So now you're ready to connect your SMA connectors. The reason why we do the SMA connectors first is it's a lot easier to connect them before putting the screws on the mounting board. You have a lot more flexibility. Once you have installed SMA, use your needle nose pliers and tighten them up a little bit. Maybe just less than 1/8 of a turn. You will feel it. Next, you will secure the base assembly to the box using the 4-screw supply. You will have to align the holes in the plate with the holes in the box. Some boxes only have 2 holes. Those would be right around the middle. For those cases, you will only need to use 2 screws. At this point, we will also be installing the grounding wire. This grounding wire goes on the boxes that only have 2 holes. It will go on one of those 2 holes, which would be your right one. On the boxes that have 4 holes, you will place it on this corner. Before installing the screws, make sure you apply a small amount of Loctite on each one of them, at the very tip. 1 drop should be enough. To install your grounding wire, just put the screw through the hole and screw it to the base. Now your base is secure and you can install the boards, but first you will need to install your LED wiring assembly. This assembly is bidirectional, so it doesn't matter what side you put in. The first step will be to connect the processor board. As you see, we have a connector that we have to match to the boards on the bottom. There is only one connector there, so that connector have to match. It is not very easy to align it, but you can use your standoff holes to align it. Once you push it down, the holes on the board and the standoff should align perfectly. If they're not aligned perfectly, probably your connector didn't align right. Once you have pushed it in, the next step is to secure the board using the 4 standoffs that you removed previously. Make sure you also apply Loctite to your standoffs. Next, connect your other side of LED assembly to the connector at the end of this board. Once that's secured, the last step will be to install your top board. And again, this one you can actually see the connector and the pins, so you should be able to align it and connect it easily. And the last step will be to connect your grounding wire. This grounding wire is going to go to the terminal that is labeled chassis ground. For that you will need your small flat screwdriver. And that should be it.